I'm glad that he's willing to speak to law enforcement, although I'm not sure what he means by, quote, if required, end quote. Is he insisting that he be served with a subpoena to testify? Or is he willing to speak to law enforcement without being legally required to do so? My clients who are victims of Jeffrey Epstein have spoken to law enforcement without being, quote, required, end quote, to do so. I urge Prince Andrew to contact the investigators for the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York and volunteer to be interviewed by them without conditions and without delay. Commenting on any facts. Whether a person is a prince or a pauper, he or she should provide any information relevant to a criminal investigation. This is not about privilege. This is about truth. This is about justice. And that's long overdue for the victims. The best way to begin for him to begin to repair his damaged reputation would be to sit for an interview as soon as possible with the criminal investigators for the Southern District of New York. There's no need to wait for a gold-engraved invitation. It should be done without delay.
Investigation into Epstein's alleged coach.
Justice has not yet been done for the victims. The victims are not a footnote. They are what this is all about. They were hardly mentioned at all in Prince Andrew's interview. Since then, I think he has tried to show remorse, but really, as been said, we like deeds, not just words, and the deed would be speak to investigators as soon as possible. But thank you for your question.
This is a thank you note from Prince Andrew, signed by him, to me. He had come to my class at Harvard in criminal law, actually raised his hand and spoke at one point. Then the dean held a lunch in his honor. Look forward to continuing my intellectual challenge with you and Jeffrey E. in the coming months. Thank you again for a fantastic experience. I met Prince Andrew through Jeffrey Epstein. I don't want the case to go away. I want this woman to go to prison for perjury. Nobody should believe a single word this woman utters. If there is other evidence, a picture, witnesses, remember they said they were dancing at a bar. If there are witnesses, that's one thing, but nobody should believe a single word this woman ever says. She has a long history of making up false stories about famous people for money. She has no credibility, zero about anybody.
First of all, I just want to say thank you all for turning out and putting some limelight on this. And I've been fighting that very world to this day, and I won't stop fighting. I will never be silenced.
But I've never seen a case where a prosecutor has relied on a witness with a long history of lying in similar situations about Al Gore, Tipper Gore, Bill Clinton, you name it. She also lied about her age. She said she was 14 when she met Epstein. She was over 17 when she met Epstein. No prosecutor would ever put a witness like that on the witness stand. That's why she's not being used as a witness in criminal cases. She's only being used by private lawyers to try to get money from people, some of whom are innocent. The evidence that proves conclusively I couldn't possibly have done what she said I did. There are three phases in my relationship with Epstein. I first met him, I was introduced to him by Lady Rothschild, a very eminent, prominent woman who said he was a great intellectual and I should get to know him. And I got to know him and I went to conferences, academic conferences with very, very prominent people. That stopped the day he was arrested. Phase two is I then had a professional relationship with him. I was his lawyer and he paid me for every minute. We never had a minute together for which I was not paid. And then the case was over and our relationship ended. And that's not true of Prince Andrew. He maintained a relationship even after it was clear that Epstein had done terrible things. But I did not maintain that relationship afterward. And there's a distinction between people who did and people who didn't. A lot of prominent people maintained a relationship with Epstein well after it was known what he had done.